Welcome students. Today in economics, we are going to study about methods, facts, theories and laws. The logical process of arriving at a law or generalization in a science is called method. In economics, broadly we make use of two methods, deductive method and inductive method. Methods of deduction and induction. So how many methods are there? Two methods, deduction and induction. First, we can see the deductive method of economic analysis. The deductive method moves from the general assumption to the specific application. What is deductive method? It moves from general assumption to the specific application. Is called deductive method. It is also known as abstract method or analytical method. This method is based on a priori reasoning and conclusions are drawn from certain fundamental assumptions. Deduction method was very popular among the Greeks. For example, all athletes work out in the gym. Anto is an athlete. Therefore, Anto works out in the gym. Here, first sentence, all athletes is general assumption and this moves to specific application, that is Anto. This is called deductive method. David Ricardo, a classical economist, made use of the deductive method. Steps of deductive method. The analyst must have a clear and precise idea of the problem to be inquired into. So what is the first step? Theory is the first step. Second one, hypothesis. The analyst clearly defines the technical terms used in the analysis. Further, assumptions of the theory are to be precise. Step third, observation. Deduce hypothesis from the assumptions, giving some examples, that is observation. Last one, confirmation or verification. Hypothesis should be verified through direct observation of events in the real world and confirmed through statistical methods. Example, that exists an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded of a good. In the deductive method, the teacher tells or shows directly what she or he wants to teach. This is also referred to as direct. How does the teacher proceed when he or she teaches deductively? For example, a teacher wants to teach his or her students how to add similar fractions. She begins by stating the rule. To add similar fractions, just add numerators, then copy the denominator. Then she will gives examples, after which she will give written exercises for her students. So in this step example, the teacher dominated approach is first step. It begins with the abstract rule, generalization, principle and ends with specific examples and concentrate details. It is the second step, that is hypothesis. And it covers a wider scope of subject matter. Learning is passive process. The learners do not take part in the generation of conclusion or generalization. Last step is that a drill or exercises come after the explanation of the rule or principle. This is called deductive method. From the theory, it is moving to confirmation. That means from the generalization, it is moving to specific application. Next one, inductive method of economic analysis. This inductive method moves from specific observations to generalization. For example, students are told that the sum of angles 3 in a triangle is 180 degrees. Then the students verify the same. Students will conclude the sum of angles of triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So from the specific observation, angle 3 moves to a generalization. Conclusion is called inductive method. It was Francis Bacon who advocated inductive method in scientific inquiry. Economic generalization are derived in this method on the basis of experimentations, observations, and statistical methods. It begins with specific details, concrete data and examples, and ends with an abstract. Learners are more engaged in the teaching learning process. Learning becomes more interesting at the outset because we begin with the experiences of our students, begin with what they know. It helps the development of our learners' higher order thinking skills to see pattern and analyze the same in order to arrive at generalization. That is hypothesis requires analytical thinking. Next one, deductive versus inductive. Deductive moves from top to bottom. See the picture? The deductive moves from theory to confirmation. Theory, hypothesis, observation, and then confirmation. And in the inductive method, from the bottom is moving to upward. Observation, pattern, tentative hypothesis, and to theory. None of these methods provide satisfactory system for solution of problems. In the past, there was a debate among economists about the question which is the best method, inductive or deductive. But the controversy is not there now. Today, economists feel that both induction and deduction are necessary for the science. Alfred Marshall remarked that inductive and deductive methods are both needed for scientific thought, as the right and left foot are both needed for walking. So, not only deductive method or inductive method is needed, both the method deductive as well as inductive method is needed in economics. Economics fact. What is economics fact here? What are the facts? Facts about India's economy. India has a mixed economy. Mixed economy means both social and capitalism, capitalists coexist. Next one, half of the workers rely on agriculture. The cost of living is lower than in the US. The Indian middle class is bigger than the US middle class. It's an attractive country for outsourcing such as call centers. Bollywood contributes billions to India's GDP. So these are the facts about India's economy. Next one, economic theories. Economic theory consists of well-recognized and widely acceptable explanations regarding the economic conditions and behavior of economic units in the real world. Example of economic theories. Theory of demand deals with the consumer behavior. How do the consumer decides to buy the commodity? How do they decide on quantity? When do they stop consuming? And it helps in making choice in commodity, optimum level of production and price. So this is economic theory. See in the picture, socialism. What they are saying, so that's less pie for me. The pie is less for the socialist economy. That means private sector. And capitalism, that means public sector. What they are saying, I made the pie larger so we can all enjoy it. So under socialist, their main aim is to earn more profit. And under capitalism, their main aim is the motive. What motive? Welfare motive. New economic theory is that, see the picture, we got a lot of pies because the economy has fluctuated. Trending now. Which is trending now? So all these are called economic theories. Importance of microeconomics. To understand the operation of an economy, to provide tools for economic policies, to examine the condition of economic welfare, efficient utilization of resources, useful in international trade, useful in decision making, optimal resources allocation, basis for prediction, linear programming, price determination. All these are the importance of microeconomics, which we are going to study in detail. Next one, nature of economic laws. What are the natures? Statement of tendency, inexact signs, probable trends, hypothetical, and universal application. First, we will see the statement of tendency. Every cause has a tendency to produce some result. For example, in physics, we study that things fall to the ground because of gravitation. The law of gravitation is a statement of tendency. Similarly, the laws of economics are statements of tendency. For example, according to the law of demand, when there is fall in the price of a good, the demand for it will expand. It means that there is a tendency among people to buy more when there is fall in the price of a good. Similarly, if price rises, they will buy less. Laws operate under certain conditions. If these conditions change, they will not operate. This applicable to all sciences. Next law is inexact science. Physics and chemistry are examples of physical sciences. Economics, politics are examples of social sciences. What are the social sciences? Economics and politics. The laws of physical sciences are exact, but the laws of economics are not as exact as the laws of physical sciences. For example, we have the law of gravitation. It is a simple and exact statement. But in economics, we deal with human beings and their behavior. We cannot conduct experiments with human beings either within the laboratory or outside it. That's why economic laws cannot be as exact as the laws of physical sciences. Next one, probable trends. Economics are to be compared with the laws of tides rather than with the simple and exact law of gravitation. The science of tides explain that tides rise and fall under the influence of the sun and the moon. Probably there will be high tide on a full moon night. It may be there or it may not be there. It is only a probability. Similarly, economic laws also indicate probable trends. For example, when there is increase in the quantity of money, there may be increase in the price level. But we cannot say exactly by how much price will rise. Economics make use of money as a measuring rod of utility. Though money is a rough measure, it gives a concrete shape to economic laws. Economics are hypothetical. What's the next law? Hypothetical. Sometimes it is said that the laws of economics are hypothetical. That is, we make an hypothesis only after it is verified by facts and experiments and found true. It becomes a law. But many economic laws cannot be verified by experiment. That's why we say sometimes that economic laws are hypothetical in nature. Universal application. The laws of physical sciences have universal application. Of course, there are one or two exceptions. The law of diminishing returns has universal application. All these are the nature of economic laws. Assumption. What are the assumptions given? No change in the consumer's income, no change in consumers' taste and preferences, no changes in the prices of other goods, no new substitutes for the goods have been discovered. These are the assumptions. All economic laws are based on certain assumptions. Let us take the law of demand. It tells that other things being equal, when the price of a good falls, people will buy more of the good. By other things being equal, we mean that the income of the people remains the same. That means no change in the consumer's income. Their taste remains the same, no change in consumers' taste and preferences. The prices of other goods remain the same, no changes in the prices of other goods, and that no new substitutes for the good is discovered. The law will hold good only when these assumptions are fulfilled. Students, today we saw the economics methods, facts, theories, and laws. We will continue subdivision in the next. Thank you, students.